Welcome, Bitcoin fam, to the #1 Bitcoin pod. Happy TGIF. In today's show, I'll be sharing the latest Bitcoin technical analysis. We'll be pulling up the live charts. Also, quoting Max Kaiser, Saylor has obliterated the halving cycle by building a bridge for $400 trillion in global wealth to convert into Bitcoin. We'll also be discussing No Labs announces adopting a Bitcoin treasury strategy holding 1,000 BTC, another Bitcoin treasury, baby. We'll also be discussing Saylor strategy ups their Bitcoin bet with a new $1 billion stock offering, as well as Metaplanet, the Japanese strategy. They plan to buy 91,000 Bitcoin between now and the next 18 months, which is mind-boggling. Their goal is to hold 100,000 Bitcoin by this time next year. We'll also be discussing Bitcoin ETFs bleed on the Trump-Musk fallout as sentiment turns to fear. Also give you some insights behind the alleged Trump-Musk war publicly displayed yesterday. We'll also be discussing Bitcoin can break the $250,000 price level, according to a particular billionaire. I'll be sharing his insights. And speaking of bullish price predictions, crypto analyst Willy unveils the ultimate Bitcoin path to a 188x rally, sending the Bitcoin price action to 20 milli per coin. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. Welcome everyone joining us. If you are new to the channel, important, smash the likes, go ahead, subscribe, then ring the bell. Turn on all notifications to receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day, 7 days a week, just like this. Today is pod episode number 2014. I'm your host, JV. It's June 6, 2025. Bitcoins are ripping like the new Scottie Pippen, already up over 3,200 on the day. Happy TGIF. Let's kick it off with our market watch, as we do each and every day, pulling up Coin 360. As you can see on the screen, yesterday everything was corrective with the saga between the Trumpster and Elon. For those that missed the memo, Elon went full Kendrick on our POTUS and accused them of, ultimately, in so many words, being a PDF file and being on the Epstein client list. And the markets did not react favorably, but today we're back. Look at that. Now check it. Bitcoin up 2.7% on the day, trading above 104.5. Ether still in the red, back under 25 hundo. XRP, BNB, Tron, Cardano, all pumping and in the green. And checking out CoinMarketCap.com, the current crypto market cap is currently 3.25 trillion, about a half a trillion shy from the all-time high, which is currently 3.75 trillion. The Bitcoin market cap back on the climb at 2.075 trillion. We have roughly, I missed that statistic, but we have 63.8% Bitcoin dominance, Ether dominance, 9.2%, and the metric I meant to share was the volume, which is 133 billion worth of volume for the past 24 hours. And checking out the crypto bubbles, we get a visual perspective on the day. But hey, first we got to look at the top 100 gainers. At least, let's check it out. Virtual up 9%, Sui up 8%, Floki up 7%. Let me know which alt, if any, you're bullish on for the bull. And checking out the crypto bubbles, get a visual perspective on the day. Safe to say, for the daily, the bulk of the market definitely in the red, maybe 80-20, red over green. Zooming out for the weekly, similar, maybe 80-20, red over green. And zooming out for the monthly, fortunately, the bulk of the market in the green, I'd say 75-25 green over red. And checking out the yearly, holy shit. Yeah, not looking good for the altcoins right now. And checking out the Crypto Greed and Fear Index, we're all the way back down with a 45 in fear. Yesterday, 57. Last week, a 60. Last month, a 67 greed. And checking out the infamous time chain calendar. Wow, we finally smashed the epic 900,000 block height milestone. Satoshi's going wild. The next big milestone will be the 1 million block height, then the 1.1 milli. Let's get it. And we currently have 149,941 blocks until the halving of 2028, which will be here before you know it. Time sure does fly on this flat earth. That's all I'm saying. The stationary flat earth, that is. And as of today, you can exchange one fiat monopoly dollar for 958 sats. So you know what to do, broskies. Pick up the sats, put down the gats, and pick up some Bitcoin caps from my man Sergio over at bitcoincaps.net. And if you don't know, Now you know. All right, here we go. Here's the latest TA, aka astrology for the baddies. Bitcoin rebounds to 105. But is it a bull trap? Underway. Yay, nay, holla, let me know. Hyperliquid whale and Elon's impact on the pre-little bitty. According to Super Bitcoin Bro, I don't know if he has any relation to Mario and Luigi, but the drop to 100 on June 5th, damn, did we hit all the way to 100? I didn't even realize we went that low. Was mainly triggered by excessive bullish leverage from degen traders. These leveraged bets follow the liquidation of the large position held by the so-called hyperliquid whale near 104. And want to know what's really retarded? How many of you guys actually donated money to this whale who's only helping to wreck the market? Interesting how that works. James Wynn reportedly incurred losses exceeding 100 million within the week. The dude's like risking hundreds of millions of dollars. Meanwhile, people are sending him their hard-earned crypto, which makes no sense. But then again, the world doesn't make sense at this point. With all the public feuds between Elon and Trumpster, and I just shared my perspective between that saga, in between the stories. So if you were here, you got to see that. You can always rewind it if you missed it later. Link into the dispute directly to the Bitcoin decline. It's difficult. The S&P 500 closed down 0.5%. I also heard rumors that Elon's Tesla stock had the worst day in the stock market. That was according to Patrick Bet David. I think I heard him say it lost 150 million shed in market cap. Can someone verify if that's actually true? It just seems like an insane amount of money to be lost on a stock in one day. But then again, when you go apeshit crazy publicly, accusing the POTUS of the United States as being a PDF file, maybe that is the reason. But you tell me. Bitcoin traders remain concerned that the looming global economic slowdown could lead investors to become more risk adverse. Data from the U.S. Department of Labor showed the weekly unemployment claims rose to their highest level in 8 months during the final week of May. And additionally, the U.S. Fed Governor Adriana stated that tariffs pose downside risks to employment and output growth. Now, shout out Jack Mahlers and all my Bitcoin ballers. He says, we just updated our Bitcoin back loan agreement to make it crystal clear. Your Bitcoin is never rehypothecated. And I actually watched one of his recent speeches discussing that. He also, this was like 2 weeks back when I watched it, he said at the time the lending was like, I think it was 12%. APY or percentage on the loan for the Bitcoin back loans using his platform Strike, and his goal was to get it to single digits, which ultimately means 9% or less before the end of the month. I don't know if he actually achieved that. If anyone has an update on that, do let me know. But there are different options now when it comes to Bitcoin lending. I believe Coinbase is offering it. Jack Mahler's company is offering it, and I think Lendin, if I'm pronouncing it properly, and there's a few other options as well. But just be careful. Never borrow money, even against your Bitcoin, if you're not capable of paying it back, because what happens if you don't pay it back, they keep your collateral, and typically you have double the amount of the loan sent to them in collateral is typically how it works. And also, the typical term is 12 months. It's not like you're going to get a 30-year term loan on a Bitcoin back loan. If so, then everyone would just borrow money against their Bitcoin and pay the minimal payments and watch Bitcoin go up forever, and everyone would be rich. But maybe in the future, that's how it'll be. I don't know. But anyways, fundamentally, the same concerns trigger a Bitcoin drop to the low of 100,400, but we bounced pretty substantially from there. So hopefully the bottom's in. Here's the silver lining. We did not drop below the critical $100,000 support. That's a major psychological support, and it held, and we're on the up and up. And quoting Max Kaiser, Saylor has obliterated the halving cycle, building a bridge for $400 trillion in global wealth to convert to Bitcoin. This was off the back of the news here. We're offering perpetual US dollar yield forever, and we are receiving the capital forever. This is Saylor discussing this. I think this was on Squawk Box or CNBC. By matching a long duration liability with a long duration asset, we're creating an indestructible balance sheet. It sounds like Saylor's balance sheet is protected by a firmament, protected by the power of God. That's what it sounds like. But I think Max is right here. Saylor's just on a whole new level. Also breaking news, No Lapse, announced adopting a Bitcoin treasury, another treasury in the game, 1,000 Bitcoin. Why so bearish? But yeah, we're witnessing Bitcoin treasury companies be birthed practically every day. Bitcoin game theory in full effect. And let's also pull up some of the live charts. We'll do a little live chart action. Jackson Satisfaction, Tony Braxton for the homies. Shout out the Nip. Wherever the Nip went, oh, he's still there. You can spot him. Let me know if you see him in the screen after the infamous freeze frame. But lots happening, a lot of action. Jackson Satisfaction on the charts. But let's start with the 1 hour, and then we'll work our way backwards. This is via Coinbase, via TradingView. Holy shit. Talk about a stairway to heaven. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Insane amount of green candles on the hourly chart. This is not typical, hence why we're up so much here today since hitting the bottom of 100,000 yesterday. But we did correct a bit, but hopefully the staircase to heaven continues and we can all walk up the staircase and say hi to Satoshi. You know what I mean? And zooming out from the hourly. Let's take a look at the 4 hour. What does the 4 hour say, JV? Well, let's look at the Nibinator indicator. 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive candles, 4, 8, 12, 16. So for the past 20 hours, we've been pumping. Finally got a red corrective. No particular bull scenario targets on the 4 hour. So we'll work our way back a little more. Checking out the daily. For the daily chart, you can see we've recovered the losses already from yesterday, which is pretty nice. No particular bull scenario targets played out here on the daily. So zooming out a bit further, we'll take a look at the monthly. Seems to be a little jet lag in my computer here for whatever reason, but we got it. There's the weekly rising wedgie, the only wedgie I approve of. And again, 7 consecutive green weekly candle closes. Unfortunately, last week we closed in the red, and in 2 more days we get a new weekly candle close. And if things are remaining where they're at in a couple of days, then it's going to be back-to-back red weekly candle closes. However, if the bullish momentum can continue, we can flip that red candle into a green and continue our bullish momentum. Also, silver lining here on the weekly is we have a cup and handle target sitting at 124 in play. And if you don't know, now you know. And also take a quick look at the monthly. The month of May and April, we close in the green. Thus far, not much action for June, but hopefully we get another green bullish candle close. You guys let me know your thoughts. Where do you feel the Bitcoin price will likely take us next? Michael Saylor Strategy ups his Bitcoin bet with another $1 billion stock offering. It was previously announced as 250 million. So he said, let's just 4x that mofo. Anything less than $1 billion is too bearish for Saylor. That's right. Saylor, or Strategy, the world's largest corporate hodler of the biddy, plans to raise nearly $1 billion. And if he's planning to raise $1 billion, I have a feeling he'll raise like $1.25 billion because he always under promises and over delivers. That's the Giga Chat for you. The company led by Executive Chair Mikey Saylor plans to issue 11 million shares of a 10% Series A perpetual stock, preferred stock, at a public offering price of $85 per share. Hence why he's the Bitcoin alchemist. He knows how to print Bitcoins out of thin air. He's like Satoshi 2.0, this man. Strategy estimates raising about $1 billion from the net proceeds after deducting underwriting discounts and commissions for the firm's offering expenses. According to the announcement, the company plans to use the almost $1 billion for general corporate purposes, including the acquisition of the biddy and working capital, as per the announcement officially shared. The move quadruples the company's previously announced $250 million raise, introducing new financing route beyond its historical use of common stock and convertible debt. And in contrast, Strategy's perpetual preferred stocks will pay professional institutional investors non-cumulative dividends equal to 10% of the stated amount. So at the price when this article was published, Bitcoin was 104. That means the $1 billion would enable Strategy to acquire an additional 9,633 BTC, significantly more than the latest purchase of 705 for $75 million, which was announced June 2nd, which was this Monday. So what's going to happen is typically every Sunday, Saylor posts a Saylor tracker, which is a precursor that the following day on the Monday, he's going to make the announcement of how much Bitcoin he accumulated in the previous week. And he's been doing that like clockwork. So expect that in a couple of days. Strategy's Bitcoin premium soared 112% compared to the spot biddy price, according to Van Eck, quoting him here. We calculate a 112% premium to the combined fair value of MicroStrategy's Bitcoin and core software business, driven by expectations of future Bitcoin accumulation regulatory advantages, and speculative positioning. Every time MicroStrategy issues new shares to retail investors, shares backed by Bitcoin worth only a fraction of the stock price, the company pockets the difference and then frames it as a Bitcoin yield. That's according to the 10x Research CEO. However, the premium is smaller than Japanese investment firm Metaplanet and their Bitcoin premium, which soared 596,000. That's right. So, and we're going to actually cover that in great detail as our next story of the day, because they made some very advantageous projections of how much Bitcoin they plan on accumulating. So we'll break that one down next. But yeah, so Michael Saylor has close to, well, his company has close to 600,000 Bitcoin. Started accumulating Bitcoin, first publicly traded company to do so back in 2020. So in 5 years, he's accumulated roughly 600,000 Bitcoin. Now to put it in perspective, how big these asset management giants are, like BlackRock, they achieve greater Bitcoin accumulation in 1.5 years, I should say, than it took Saylor 5 years. Larry Fink's company, BlackRock, has already surpassed 600,000 BTC in 1.5 years, because the Bitcoin ETF wasn't even a thing until officially January 11th of 2024. So a year and a half ago, 600,000 Bitcoin. And right now, there's going to be the mother of all supply shocks. We have less Bitcoin available on the exchanges since 2018, and we have more institutional adoption than we have ever had since the very beginning. The institutions didn't even come along until Larry Fink, with BlackRock and, early of last year in 2024. And then it wasn't even really a thing for the corporations to hold Bitcoin or create a Bitcoin treasury until Saylor was the first to do that in 2020, putting the Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Now we have relentless amount of Bitcoin treasury companies being birthed. We can't forget 21, Jack Mallers' new company. We can't forget Trump. He just filed for a Bitcoin ETF with the SEC. We covered that yesterday. Also, Trump's already purchasing Bitcoin. So holy shit. And then there's all these other treasury companies. We got Metaplanet. We'll break down deeper. So only so much Bitcoin to go around. And when you have massive demand and very limited supply, hence a supply shock, the price is going to go parabolic. We may witness a run-up like we saw back in 2016 when Bitcoin just soared, or even the very first halving in 2012 to 2013. Now, obviously, there's no guarantee. History repeats. But even if it fucking rhymes, we're at the right place at the right time is all I'm saying. Well, here's the latest with Metaplanet. The headline reads, strategies Metaplanet to buy 91,000 Bitcoin. Now, when I saw that number, I'm like, good Lord, because I know originally their target was to have, I think, 10,000 Bitcoin before the end of this year. And I think it was 21,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2026. Now they up that mofo big time. Let's break this down as the game theory continues around the world. Metaplanet, also known as the Japan Strategy, updated its Bitcoin acquisition plans to acquire 100,000 of the BTC by the end of next year. So they just quadrupled their numbers. Jeez Louise, I love it. Metaplanet June 6th posted its new Bitcoin plan, increasing the previous target of, I told you, it was previously only 21,000. Our previous target, they said, to hold 21,000 BTC by the end of 2026 has now been dramatically revised upwards. We now aim to hold 100,000 Bitcoin by that time, according to the Metaplanet CEO. Metaplanet currently holds 8,888 BTC. Following the latest 1,088 Bitcoin acquisition announcement, the new target means it's committing to buy at least 91,000 Bitcoin in the next 18 months. The doing. Metaplanet's rush to buy more of the Bitty is a response to the economic developments worldwide and changes in the global financial system. According to the CEO, the global economy is undergoing a structural transformation from a traditional supply structure centered on capital and labor to a new economic foundation driven by information technology. The situation is further exacerbated by the post-war monetary regime, implications such as geopolitical risks, trade policy shift, and growing concerns over accumulated sovereign debt. That's right. So in this environment, capital has begun flowing out of the assets previously considered safe, such as the long-term government bonds. Gold has been revalued to record high levels against the major currencies. And against this backdrop, the strategic importance of the Bitty as an asset characterized by high scarcity, ease of custody and transfer, and the absence of credit intermediaries is rapidly gaining recognition. That's right. And to fund the purchases, Metaplanet decided to issue stock acquisition rights. Sounds very familiar, enabling the issuance of up to 555 million shares aimed at acquiring the Bitty. The new 555 million shares will join the 210 million shares already issued under the 21 million plan, and according to the statement, Metaplanet expects to raise a total of 770 billion Japanese yen, which is 5.3 billion USD, based on the initial exercise price of 1,388 yen, which is $9.60. And by the end of 2027, they say, we aim to hold over 210,000 of the Bitty, thereby entering the so-called 1% club, referring to entities holding at least 1% of the Bitcoin 21 million supply cap. And obviously, there's very few entities who can claim that. Metaplanet's accelerated Bitcoin push came shortly after Standard Chartered Bank, and the primary shareholder of Standard Chartered is BlackRock Broskies, stemming from the rising Bitcoin treasury strategy adoption amongst the public companies. And according to the bank, 21 out of the total 124 public companies that have invested in the Bitty own a combined 3.2% of the 21 million Bitcoin, which goes to show you that the corporations only have 3% collectively of the Bitcoin supply. That's a drop in the bucket. Over 50% of the Bitcoin is held by people like you and the Nippinator, the retail, right? Government has a very small portion as well. So as the institutions continue to accumulate, who knows? They can eventually have 50% of the Bitcoin supply, especially with all these Bitcoin treasury companies being birthed. But there you have it, yeah. Bitcoin ETFs bleed on the Trump must fall out sentiment, turning to fear regarding the crypto greed and fear index. We covered it earlier. We're back with a 45 in fear. The latest outflows from the U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs followed two-day recovery, coming after a series of outflows from May 29th to June 2nd, totaling $1.2 billion in just 3 trading days. Global Bitcoin ETFs have seen 8 million of outflows in the past week, while Ether ETPs topped inflows at 321 million. And according to ARK Invest, ARK 21 shares led the exodus June 5th with a massive 102 million of outflows. Ether ETFs also shaken, but still on an inflow streak, as per what's outlined here from Soso Value. US spot Ether ETF saw 11.3 million of inflows June 5th, marking 14 consecutive days of inflows. Still, yesterday's inflow were a noteworthy drop from 56 million of inflows on June 4th and 109 million of inflows on June 7th. Ether ETPs have attracted attention amid improving network fundamentals and resilient ETH futures markets. BlackRock, the world's largest crypto ETF issuer, just purchased 50 million worth of Ether. And my guess is that's why the Ethereum market cap was back on the climb. It's probably due to the BlackRock $50 million ETF purchase. And that's according to Arcam Intelligence. Here we go. Bitcoin can break the $250,000 level according to Billionaire. That's right. Young Bitcoin adopter, Tim Draper, the man with the baddest eyebrows in the game. I dare say his eyebrows are up there with Pai Mei from Kill Bill. I ain't never seen a man with such brilliant eyebrows in my life. If I can grow half an eyebrow like Draper, shit, I'd be a made man. According to Draper, the 250,000 target isn't just wishful thinking. In 2018, he said Bitcoin would reach that level by 2022. It didn't happen. 2022 saw many digital assets tumble in value. Oh, and guess what? I got to throw YouTube under the bus. They removed one of my videos from years ago, which was a Tim Draper prediction, which I don't even recall the exact number, but I think it was Tim Draper predicting Bitcoin would hit 250,000. It was a video I did from like in 2020. And yes, YouTube is literally removing my videos from 4, 5, 6 years ago. And I am currently under attack. And that's why I encourage everyone to make sure you're following me on X and Rumble. I could be terminated any day, any moment. And they're doubling down on retard. So just want to throw that out there. But quoting Tim Draper from June 4th, 2025, Bitcoin might go infinite against the dollar. Now we're talking. On the heels of the recent surge, I'm still expecting Bitcoin to reach 250,000 this year. Whether Bitcoin will keep gaining ground that fast, who knows? But the main factors pushing it forward right now are, and then he breaks it down, but I say we just look at this man's eyebrows and in amazement. I mean, I wouldn't even rock the fucking sunglasses if I can grow half a brow like that. So mad respect, Tim. You got the eyebrows of all eyebrows. He also claimed Bitcoin became infinite against the dollar, meaning it's going up forever to Laura, which means Saylor's not exaggerating. Let me know if you think we'll likely hit that 250,000 price target before the end of this year. That's my bear scenario. I've been calling 222 bear scenario 2025. Base case 420 for the broskies and 1.1 million in play. Bull scenario, of course, Max Kaiser's calling for 2.2 million, and we'll get to the 20 million target next from Willy Woo. But based on the report, Draper points to politics as the big catalyst. He highlights moves by President Trump, who's working on new trade deals. One sign of this push is the media and tech group filing on June 5th for the Truth Social Bitcoin ETF, which we covered, I believe that was in yesterday's episode. Trump is buying Bitcoin, has his own product. That application is headed to the NYSE ARCA, and Crypto.com is lined up as the custodian to hold those Bitcoin for the Trump team. And also on that regulatory front, the U.S. Senate voted 66-32 May 19th to advance the Genius Act, which would set the rules for the stables, and that passed. And behind that, we had Cynthia Lummis, and that passed very favorable as well. And we all know the stable coins are coming. In my opinion, the stable coins are going to replace the CBDC plans, which are the central bank digital currencies, because at the end of the day, a stable coin is a programmable dollar, hence a CBDC, programmable money. That's why we got Bitcoin, though. If you want to prepare for the fiat bond apocalypse, simply stack the sats and you're set. And that's about it. Now for our featured story of the day. Crypto analyst Willy Woo forecasts Bitcoin reaching $20 million, which is ultimately 188x rally from today's prices. So let's break this one down. Also, a tweet I made earlier, I pray this creep won't be speaking at any more Bitcoin conferences, and I'm referring to Peter Schiff. I put hi Joe kids, because earlier, for those who missed the memo, Peter wrote in his own words, I'm not saying it wasn't a crime, I'm just saying it is not. I won't mention that word on tube, but when I was in college, he says I had SCX with underage girls. That doesn't make me a PDF file. Now, I disagree. My understanding is if you have SCX with underage girls, which are minors, Peter, that makes you a PDF file. So I ultimately tagged Bitcoin Magazine and I said, yo, I pray this creep won't be speaking at any more Bitcoin conferences. That's unacceptable behavior, Peter, and I just wanted to point that out. But anyways, back to the topic at hand. Analyst Willy Woo unveils Bitcoin path to a potential 188x rally. Let's break this baby down. Here we go. Shout out Willy Woo, by the way. He's bullish on the biddy over the long term. Well, of course he is. He's a very good analyst, by the way. We've been covering him here on the show for years, and I dare say this is the most bullish Willy Woo prediction we have ever covered. So yeah, he shared with his 1.2 million followers on X, the Bitcoin could replace gold as hard money and could consequently go up 188x in 2 decades. So this is a long-term target. Clearly, Bitcoin does not get rich quick, YouTube overlords. But anyways, my long-term target for Bitcoin price is not dollars, as that continues to be debased. My target is world GDP divided by 21 million, give or take 50%. It'll take the good part of 2 decades to get there. If it takes 20 years to get to an equilibrium and the US dollar is still a leading currency, then $20 million per Bitcoin, plus or minus 50%. Let's do the plus. Yeah, I mean, in 20 years, the analyst says the global nominal GDP could be nearly quadruple from the current level. And quoting Willy again, real GDP growth is 2%, while debasement is 5%. So if we inflate GDP at 7% per year for 20 years, measured in debasing US dollar, that would be $425 trillion, or 20 million per Bitcoin, give or take 50%. And over the shorter term, Willy Woo says Bitcoin is finding it hard to move up, and there's a high level of speculative activity in the market. Say that again. Now is a bad time to take paper bets on Bitcoin, he says. It is open season on liquidation hunts due to the high levels of betting. Precisely. Bitcoin is waiting to purge the bets before the next swing of all-time highs. I tend to agree with Willy Woo. Let me know if you guys agree and disagree. And can you legitimately see 188x rally from here within the next 20 years, 20 million per Bitcoin, minus plus 20%, 50%. Holla at your boy. I'll read your comments out loud. Welcome everyone to the Q&A segment of the live stream. And the good news, we already terminated the YouTube transmission. It terminated all on its own today, prematurely. But welcome, everyone. This is the Q&A segment. I'm here for you guys. We're going to kick it for a bonus hour, and I may even pull up the live charts, and we'll do a little pump watch and jam out to some Chandy Jams.